Hello everyone, this is Friday the 1st of July and it's time for another thought for the day. Now, you can't see it because of the angle of the camera of the phone that I'm using here. It looks towards the back of the room, but I'm actually sitting at my desk. I don't want to show you what the desk is like. It's not just as tidy as it could be, but I know where things are. At least I thought I knew where things were, and I was searching for something the other day, and I came across this. Now, it's a reminder of something I did a number of years ago. All the ministers in the area here, Larbert and Stenhousemuir, we were invited to speak to the Edinburgh Parliament. We were invited to take the time for reflection, which I believe happens every Wednesday just before the business session of Parliament. And the local MP here, he noticed that none of the ministers in his area had ever done this before. So he invited, wrote to us all and said, look, here's an opportunity. Would you like to speak at Time for Reflection Wednesday afternoon just before the business session of the Scottish Parliament? Now, as far as I know, there were only two of us who took up that invitation. I'm not quite sure why the others didn't respond. But I thought, yes, I'll have a go at that. And I offered my services and was sent a whole sheaf of instructions about what to do and how to get in and what to bring and what to say and who to contact, etc., etc., etc. So that was all right. A wee bit of bureaucracy, that was to be expected. But I was given exactly 6 minutes to speak. That's all you were allowed. That's all anyone was allowed for the time for reflection in Parliament. 6 minutes, and I was told that if I went over my 6 minutes, they would just simply pull the plug on me. They would cancel my microphone and I wouldn't be heard. So I had to be quite disciplined. I wouldn't like that to happen in church every Sunday, mind you. Got to keep in with the guys in the AV desk. But anyway, I managed to keep to my 6 minutes. Thoroughly enjoyed the experience, by the way. Not sure how much they listened to me. I'll tell you what I spoke about in just a wee minute. But it was good. I was given a tour of the building. Very interesting place. And as I said, I can forever say that I spoke to the Scottish Parliament. And very nicely, they give you a little souvenir DVD of yourself speaking. So this is something I can watch or others can listen to. And that's what I came across when I was reading through my desk. So it reminded me of all this. It also reminded me of the text I took. Thought long and hard about that, prayed about it, and thought I would speak from Proverbs 14 and verse 34, quite a famous text. It says quite succinctly, quite briefly, and quite clearly that righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. So again, remember the context, speaking to Parliament. Parliament wants to exalt the nation, wants to lift it up, wants to make it good in all sorts of ways. Well, the way to do that is through righteousness. It's not through a lot of planning. It's not through a lot of policies. It's not through things like that. It quite simply says in the Bible that it is righteousness that lifts up. It's righteousness that exalts a nation. And the opposite of righteousness, of course, is sin. And sin is a reproach to any nation, to any people. So it was quite a clear message, I thought. But obviously they didn't listen to it very much because there isn't much righteousness about at the moment, nor are the laws that are going through Parliament. They are not expressly godly in any way, not righteous in any way. In fact, we are proving laws that are sinful and anti-God and his principles. So, unless we get back on track, we're not going to have any righteousness to exalt this nation or any other nation. Now, that again reminds me, and I've said this a few Sundays ago, not quite sure what date it was, but I just reminded those who were present and those online of how far we as a nation, I'm talking about Scotland now, but this largely applies to the rest of the UK, the rest of Britain, the rest of Europe even, but Scotland in particular, how far we have fallen. We used to be known, as many of you understand, we used to be known as the land of the book. People didn't even have to ask what book we were talking about. Now they do. But everybody used to know that it was a land of the book, and that book was the Bible. We've gone from being known as the land of the book to one of the most secular countries, certainly in Europe, if not in the world. So we have, in the eyes of God and the things of God, we have fallen very far in not so long a time, just a generation or two, and we find ourselves now needing righteousness to exalt us as a nation, because the sin that we are involved in and see all around us is a reproach which is dragging us further and further down, further and further into trouble, and further away from God, of course. So we have fallen, and that's a shame, a terrible shame, although people don't see it that way. But we have a lunch club at Larbert, and we provide lunch for a group of elderly guests and their carers. Some bring a carer along with them. So we have this. It's been going for quite a number of years, and it's still going strong. And we finished the session of this time of the year just last week. And I was chatting to a young chap who was a carer of one of the guests. And he admitted, now this was a young guy, he was married, he had a family. He was about in his 30s, perhaps about 35 or so. And he was a nice lad. We had a nice conversation about all sorts of things. I was sitting just quite close to him. But he freely admitted that this was the first time he had been in a church of any kind in his entire life. Now, he wasn't even in the church, suppose he was, but he was really in the church hall. That's as far as he got. But even that, he said, he had never been in a church or a church hall of any kind in his life ever. Now, again, that reminded me that there was a recent survey done, and apparently there are 70% of the people now in Scotland, 70% have said that they don't see any reason why they should go to church, into a church, for any reason ever again. They're not getting baptised, they're not getting christened, anything like that. They're not going into a church for that. You now don't have to go into a church to get married. That can be done, well, the Scottish law is very liberal. You can get married anywhere you want in the country. It doesn't have to be a place of worship. It doesn't have to be a special place, a designated place. And then for death, for burials, for cremations, well, that is now largely done through the crematorium. So for hatching, for matching, or for dispatching, no reason to come to a church at all. Those were the three reasons that you thought people would at least have to come into a church for. But no longer, they don't have to come in for those reasons. So they don't come on Sunday either. So 70% of the folk in Scotland now say that they don't see any reason why they should come to a church at all. Now, with the state of the nation like that, no longer the land of the book, people don't even know what the book is, with people not seeing any need to come to church for any reason at all, and for there to be less and less righteousness and more rampant sin about. Where are we headed? Where are we going? Or more precisely, what are you and I going to do about it? These people aren't obviously coming to us. So the answer is quite simple. We have to go out to them. And there's nothing new or strange about that, because that's basically what the Great Commission is all about. The Lord Jesus Christ, and not being frivolous, the Lord Jesus Christ did not say, gather in your churches, open the doors and expect the people to come in. Those days are gone. No, he says quite directly, we have to go into all the world and to make disciples, to baptize and to teach, etc., etc. So the nation of Scotland and many other nations, they are turning their back on God in an increasing and alarmingly rapidly doing that. That's the environment that we have to live and work and witness in. That's the environment we have to do church in. So if they're not coming to us, we have to go out to them. And that's not a job for a select few Christians. That's the job of all of us who are followers of the Lord Jesus Christ and who name his wonderful name. So it can be a wee bit disheartening to see the way the nation's going, but we really do need to get back to the book, to the Bible. We really do need to get back and see righteousness exalting the nation. Otherwise, we'll continue to career out of control on a godless path, and only the Lord knows what disaster and judgment will fall upon this nation. Okay, I'll stop there. Thank you for listening. The weekend is upon us. July is upon us already, but the weekend is coming, so please don't join the ranks of those 70% who will never want to come into church ever again. Let's set an example, and let's be at our places of worship as often as we can and as profitably as we can, not only this weekend but on an ongoing basis. Okay, that's all for the moment. Thank you for listening, and I think I'll go away and have another wee listen to this and remind myself of what the government didn't listen to. Okay, thank you very much. Bye for now.